So today we're going to talk about how the lessons of servitude that is still being pushed and emphasized in the church and in religion, how that actually silences your sensuality. Now, of course, if you've been listening to these episodes on Friday, sensuality applies to all of us, women and men. But specifically in this episode, for this segment, I'm going to speak specifically to women. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because this servitude message that is emphasized in religion is always geared toward women. All right. So I'm speaking specifically to women in this episode. Now I'm going to do something different. I am going to read to you directly from a chapter that I've already started on a book where I am going into depth about how religion robs you of your sensuality. And it also touches on marriage and dating. Yes, this book is going to go deep. I'll talk about the book when it's done. You'll hear more about that later on down the road. Okay. So the servitude sentiment seemed to apply mainly to women. In the church, a quote, real, end quote, or quote, good, end quote, woman was a married woman who knew how to cook, clean, care for her children, bring money into the home, and submit to her husband. If you are familiar with the Bible, the Proverbs 31 chapter was referenced repeatedly in the church because it told of activities of a woman who had all the qualities of being a good and a real woman. She became the standard for which all the women in the church, young and mature, were expected to aspire to. Now, to me, the Proverbs 31 woman sounded utterly exhausted. That scripture always left me with this nagging question during church services. Well, if she's doing all this work, who's helping her? She seemed constantly busy with a never-ending list of tasks for herself. The Proverbs 31 woman never resonated with me, but it seemed I was the only one not inspired by this expectation. So, to avoid appearing less holy and even more crazy, I tried to conform. All right, that's part of this chapter on servitude, and I'm going to keep going. So, here's what I want to say about serving and helping people. All right. Helping and assisting others is a noble concept indeed. So to help because you are attempting to validate your self-worth for what you desire puts you in a cycle of always having to prove yourself. To show that you were worthy of anything good, you had to prove that you were willing to serve other people first, as if you could never view yourself as a priority. So I'm going to stop there. Now, I want to say this again. It may be noble to help other people, to give of your energy by giving your time, by giving your money, to benefit other people. Okay, we can view that as being a nice gesture. But at what point does servitude become your validation? And that is why I read bits and pieces of my notes, because that servitude notion becomes the way that you as a woman validates yourself. Okay. Again, with religion, I see the message of servitude was really applied to women. All right. This idea, this false notion has programmed women to believe that they have to do everything else for other people while rejecting their own desires. Part of you having desires is a part of your sensuality. It is a huge part of your sensuality. Now, this is going to be triggering for some of you, hopefully. This program idea has also caused women to remain in marriages, relationships that are unhealthy, still giving of their energy because they believe that they're proving their validation to exist, again, suppressing their own desire. Now, I'm going to bring up this example of this couple where the husband was cheating, knowingly cheating. And this is a religious couple, they're in the church, whatever. And the woman in this interview, I noticed, first of all, the woman was doing most of the talking. The husband was sitting on the side, just basically saying, oh, yeah, agreeing with everything that she was saying. But she was talking about how she continued to submit to her husband. She continued to iron his clothes and do all these things for him, knowing that she was ironing his clothes that he was going to put on to leave the house to cheat on her, to be disloyal, to be disrespectful. And her reasoning behind it, and this is why religious programming is so damaging, because in her head, she believed that if I just keep serving, if I just keep submitting, God is going to take care of me. I'm going to be rewarded. I'm doing this to prove that I can handle blessings. I'm doing this to prove that I am worthy. And that's just one example. And actually, that was a recent example. I don't know the couple's name. Otherwise, I'd give it to you so you can go see the video for yourself. But that image is what is molded in churches all over the world. This has nothing to, this is going beyond a bad church or bad people in the church. No, this is because of the servitude message that religion has emphasized to women. And I know I said emphasized to women, but it's also emphasized to men as well. When you can have a man, like I just mentioned with this couple, when you can have a man that is supposed to be of a certain status in the church, he's supposed to be, the popular phrase, man of God. Okay, I say that in quotes. Okay, but knowingly being disrespectful to the divine feminine, that is serving him and submitting to him, but yet he doesn't give a shit, okay, clearly with his actions, okay? So when a man hears that message of servitude geared toward women, it almost gives men in the church a pass. But I digress. Let me bring this back to this episode. I went off the rails there for a minute, but it's okay. So, with this message of religious servitude, women always place themselves last on their list. Women weren't even a priority in their own lives. And this is also a side note, which I'm going to say for another episode, but I believe the idea of the strong Black woman was unfortunately birthed out of that message as well. And like I said, I'll talk about that in another episode. All right. So you see how layered this is. You see how this notion of servitude, okay, this emphasis of servitude for women, you see how this can go in so many directions. So going back to what I said was the message of servitude from religion, by religion, causes women to place themselves last. Not only are they not a priority on their own list, you're not even showing up on your list. Okay. So what happens when you place yourself last? What happens when you do not place yourself as a priority in your own life? You forget who you are. because your energy gets entangled in your service, because your identity is entangled in the people that you are serving. Have you ever met someone? Have you ever met a woman who, whomever she was dating or with at the time, that was the personality that she took on? Those were the interests of the man that she was dating at the time. Those were the interests that she took on at the time. All right. That's what you see. That's a perfect example of someone getting their identity entangled up in the person that they're serving. All right. Your identity becomes entangled in what you do. Your identity becomes entangled in your service. If you are not serving other people, you don't know who you are. And here's the thing. Placing yourself last was considered holy. It was considered godly. When actually you placing yourself last, it stifled your desires. It stifled your identity, stifling your sensuality. So you see how all of this is intertwined. So here are questions that I want to give to you. You can treat these as journal prompts. You can handle these questions however you choose to handle them. I'm going to read them to you, and you can go into meditation on them. Think about them. So the first question is, I'm giving you these questions because these questions are going to help you notice, first of all, why you're helping people. Are you helping people because you're helping people out of because you're trying to validate yourself, because you're trying to prove your worth? Are you placing yourself last because someone told you that you had to do that as a mother, as if you're married, as a wife, if you're in a relationship, long-term relationship, someone told you this is what you had to do in order to make your relationship work, or in order to be looked at as someone who was an active participant in your relationship. Okay. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Are you even a priority in your own life? Do you speak up for your own desires? These questions are going to help you recognize if you have blind spots of that programmed idea of servitude still operating in your life. Okay. In answering these questions, you're also going to be guided on what to do about it and how to put yourself first. So the first question that's going to help you is, do you believe that you can benefit other people without sacrificing yourself? Next question. When was the last time you put service over desire? And when you're thinking about that last time, the next question is going to be, what do you think you gained from doing that? Next question is, what story or stories come up when you consider putting yourself first in every part of your life? What stories come up? Are you telling yourself, well, no, I could never do that. I could never just put myself first all the time. Why? Is it because that's what was modeled for you? What is society telling you? What did religion tell you? Do you think you're a bad person? Do you think you're a bad mother? Do you think you're a bad significant other? Do you think you're a bad wife because you're putting yourself first in every part of your life? Just pay attention to the stories that come up. Do you agree with those stories? Do you have those stories because they're really yours or because that's what you saw? If you don't believe the stories, create a new one. If you don't like the stories that come up, what do you want your story to be? When you ask yourself, or when you say to yourself, I'm going to start putting myself first. What do you want the story to be that's attached to that? What do you want it to look like? So, again, I'm going to say this over and over again. When we talk about sensuality, it is, yes, sex is a part of it, but sensuality also is you recognizing your desires and what you just want in your life. It's how you see yourself. It's you allowing yourself to experience all of your senses and not turning a blind eye to your own desires, not putting your desires last, not putting a lid on your desires, not you not speaking up for your desires. Sensuality is you speaking up for your desires, recognizing the desires in your body, recognizing what you feel, recognizing your emotions, and recognizing what you want, and being honest about what you want. So I hope that I have driven that point home. I'm pretty sure I have because I've said it over and over again. But I want to know what your takeaways have been from this sensuality segment on Fridays. Okay. I want to hear it in the comments on Unleashed Alchemy TV if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, leave me a rating if you're listening to this on all the podcasting platforms, Unleashed Alchemy Podcast. There's so much more to this. There's so much more that we're going to talk about because it is so layered. Sensuality is a layered topic, and it's something that we must reconnect with. That is a part of us reconnecting and embracing and living from our sovereign identities. Okay. So again, go to unleashedalchemy.com there to find out ways that you can work with me one-on-one. Oh, I almost forgot. August 31st, Unleash Your Sovereignty is my 8-week live program. All right. That there are still spots available. Okay. The link with all the information and what it entails and who it's for will be in the description box of the video, and it will be in the show notes on the podcast. All right. So check it out. And until next time, be sovereign.